Good afternoon, everyone. I am Dublin Mayor David Haubert. Thank you for joining us today. This is a series of back-to-back virtual town hall meetings with different topics. Earlier today, we covered public health, and we also covered Dublin Unified School District, where we were where we gathered together with members of those organizations to talk to us about public health and what the Alameda County is doing, and also our own very own Dublin Unified School District Superintendent and Vice President Megan Rouse joined us earlier. Today, now we have an economic development and business related virtual town hall where we will feature our guests. And the economic development director for our city is Hazel Wetherford, also the CEO and executive director of the Dublin Chamber of Commerce, Inge Houston. We also have Noah Brode from the United States Small Business Association and Ron Barrett from Alameda County, an advisor for small businesses. Great minds helping to keep our business moving as best as possible. We also have the City of Dublin City Manager Linda Smith and Chief of Police Garrett Holmes, who will give us a brief update on the activities around Dublin, how we are reacting to the COVID-19 crisis pandemic, and also our police services, how we are enforcing code enforcement and the rule of law during this COVID-19 pandemic. With that, I will turn over the conversation at this point to our city manager, Linda Smith, who will share a few minutes and then introduce our chief of police, Garrett Holmes. Ms. Smith.
Thank you. Before I get started, John Stefanski, can you reach out to the chief? I don't know if he's having difficulty getting on the call or if he's
I'll check
otherwise detained. Okay. So first of all, thank you again for being on this call today. And I know one of the things I know is really important in this community is understanding what resources might be available for the businesses in this community who are being disproportionately hit by the shelter-in-place orders and the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to give a brief update on what we're doing here at City Hall, and again, very brief. And then if the chief is on the line, we can get him up next to talk a little bit about what public safety is doing in terms of enforcement. So just as a matter of just an overview, the City of Dublin has made the decision to close all of its facilities with the exception of Dublin Police Services. Dublin Police Services continues to have access to its front lobby, albeit there'll be some restrictions on the number of people who can access the facility at any given time. There'll be one member allowed into the lobby at any time, and that will be monitored. The city has all of its full-time staff, with the exception of a handful of us who are here in the office working remotely from home. We are, though, maintaining our overall operations. So if there are any questions that you may have about what's happening in the city, you can call us. We will pick up the phone. The number to call is 925-833-6650. 925-833-6650. All of our staff, including our economic development staff, are continuing to work during this pandemic. They're just working remotely. You can also, if you have their information, you can send them an email as well, but it's best to call that mainline number and we can direct your call to the place where you need to get your answer. In terms of what's happening around here, we are making decisions about our citywide efforts and programming. It's probably not that germane to the business community, but just to touch on the fact that we will need to sort of consider what we do about our ongoing operations, particularly in parks and recreation as we move forward. We do hire a lot of contract instructors, which are all small businesses in my opinion, and those classes are probably going to be put on hold until we get some further direction from county health or the state in regards to how we can continue to operate into the summertime. We are looking at programs we can offer that we can stand up easily within, with 2 weeks notice as we get past the shelter-in-place order, and those decisions will be made as time goes on. We don't have any answers to those questions. So anyone on this call that might be a contract instructor or a business that provides services to the City of Dublin, all I can say at this point is hang on and stay tuned. We are trying to figure out how we navigate this just as you are as well. Just from a response standpoint, the City of Dublin has activated its Emergency Operations Center, albeit virtually. We've instituted our command section, our logistics section, finance, documentation, and demobilization. Our logistics section is working closely with hotels in the Dublin market who are interested in serving as a place to house vulnerable COVID-19 populations. They're operating under the confines of the state's program called Operation Room Key. We are also publicizing a request that the county has made in preparation for any surge planning that they have for individuals who work in medical and healthcare settings who are willing to work shifts and alternate patient care within the county. So if any of you on this call work in those fields, with the medical or healthcare fields, and you wish to provide your services to the county in alternate patient care locations, please let us know. Contact the front desk at 925-833-6650, and we will put you in touch with our logistics team who can put you in touch with the appropriate persons at the county to volunteer. I say all of that, and I know that we still don't have the chief on the call. I've been on 2 of the calls already, so I can probably do a little bit of his spiel for him. Public safety is paramount, especially in a crisis like we're facing today. The police department has been tasked with implementing the order of shelter-in-place order and implementing those businesses that should be operating within the order. So we are doing some assessments of businesses in the community to determine that they are essential or not. We did a lot of that at the front end. We created a master list with our code enforcement group and with the help of economic development. And then we went around and we sort of gave everybody information about what's included in the order. Those that we thought were operating outside of the order were provided with a notice, not a violation, but with a notice that they are potentially violating the order, and to circle back and review the order again. We've also asked people to do self-determining sheets. So if you don't know if you are complying with the order or not, we've given you a sheet so you can decide how to self-determine. And so those are the options we've been providing to people. And then with the most recent order, hi Chief, I've been doing the talking for you. He's getting online. Chief, are you available? Are you on? Okay, great. So what I was just telling the business community is, in fact, that you're tasked with enforcing the order and looking, and I identified that we had gone through and identified these essential businesses and people we thought might be operating outside of that order, and we provided them with a notice of potential violation, which is simply an opportunity for those businesses to reevaluate whether or not the services they are providing fall within the order. And we provided them with a self-determination form so they could go in and identify whether they complied with the order. Since we did that first round of noticing to the business community, the order got more restrictive. And so now there are even less opportunities and more requirements for businesses to post how they're complying with the new elements of the order. Chief, I don't know if you want to speak to that, or if Hazel wants to speak to that more directly about what businesses are required to do now.
Yeah, in the second order that came out on March 31st, which is in effect until May 3rd, they required businesses to post at the door the social distancing guidelines, as well as some other items that they wanted people to abide by. They wanted to make sure that when people entered into a business that they used hand sanitizer, disposable pens if people are going to have to be signing something. I know a lot of our businesses are putting up plexiglass to create a barrier between at the point of sale contact. And there's just, a variety of things that our businesses have been doing.
Hazel, do you want to add anything about where people can get a copy of that notice?
Yes, I actually have it in my notes to discuss later, but we have provided a copy of the document that they need to fill out on how they're adhering to those regulations, as well as we prepared signage for them on their social distancing protocol that they can download from our website and use for their doors and windows as people enter.
Yeah, and just kind of add on to that, Sergeant Shepard from our crime prevention unit has gone out to numerous businesses and he's provided them a copy of the order and as well as the notice that we have from the district attorney's office, in addition to the self-determination form. So we've done a lot of education and we've gained a lot of compliance from our business community.
Chief, can you just, before, I know we'll get this question, if people have a question about whether or not they comply with the order or not, what number can they call at Dublin Police Services? We don't want people calling 911 or the non-emergency line. I think you have a main line where people can get their questions answered.
Yes, they can call our phone number at 925-833-6670, and we'll direct those calls to Sergeant Shepard in our crime prevention unit.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Holmes and City Manager Smith for that update on City of Dublin activities. It sounds like we are absolutely buttoned up and doing the things that we need to do to keep ourselves safe. Thank you for doing that. It also sounds like we are enforcing and gaining compliance, but without arresting anybody or citing anybody, but rather educating everybody on how to best comply. And that's how I think we want to handle this. So I'm really happy to hear that. With that said, I would like to then turn it over now to our Economic Development Director, Hazel Wetherford, for an update on activities around the City of Dublin.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. The Economic Development staff has been working diligently to help our businesses during this pandemic. Some of the resources we have been able to launch during this time are a new COVID-19 Business Impact website, which contains breaking news, business resources, quick links, and much more. We also launched the #DublinEat social media campaign to bring awareness and support to our local eating establishments that are offering to-go, delivery, and curbside service during the shelter-in-place order. In addition to the #DublinEats campaign, we have also partnered with Visit Tri-Valley on #TriValley2Go, which has a listing of all Tri-Valley restaurants, breweries, and wineries that are open. We are also participating in the #The Great American Takeout campaign and Visit California's Takeout Tuesday campaign. We also recently launched a business resource guide for local businesses impacted by COVID-19. The guide provides information on federal, state, regional, and local financial assistance, as well as support programs, online tools, webinars, private resources, and a listing of various agency information. It can be overwhelming to visit so many different websites and understand who is offering what resources. So we compiled all that information into the guide to make it easier for our businesses to refer to. The guide is located on our COVID-19 webpage and will continue to be updated as we learn about more resources and programs. In addition, we help create signage that is available on our website for our businesses to use regarding their social distancing protocol, which is offered in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Vietnamese. These signs are now required as part of the order to be placed in the windows and doors of essential businesses that are open. We are also sending out information every other day, if not daily, through our electronic business news update on any information and resources available to our businesses. If a business is not receiving these, please email us at economic.development@dublin.ca.gov, and we will make sure to add you to the distribution list. This newsletter serves as one of our primary tools to get information in the hands of business owners. In addition, we've partnered with the Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership Group on #TriValleyTogether. This effort is asking local business leaders to help our region by donating or simply supporting local businesses in 3 focused areas: donations of technology to support online learning, donations of medical supplies to Tri-Valley hospitals, and donations of cash to support our most vulnerable population. Lastly, we are working with our regional partners such as Visit Tri-Valley and Innovation Tri-Valley Leadership Group, the East Bay Economic Development Alliance, the East Bay Leadership Council, the Small Business Administration, Alameda County Small Business Development Center, and others to identify best practices and additional resources available. To stay up to date on information and resources, please visit the city's website, dublin.ca.gov/business impacts, or you can always email the Economic Development Office or call City Hall at 925-833-6650. Mayor, I hand it back over to you now.
Ms. Wetherford, thank you very much. Very insightful information. Clearly, we are partnering with the best and the brightest in the business community, all of our partners, and we thank them. We're doing what we can to support our business community. As was mentioned, very hard hit as we all are during these times. Thank you for all that you continue to do. One of our strongest partners is the Dublin Chamber of Commerce. And so I'm very pleased to say that we have the CEO of the Dublin Chamber of Commerce to share her perspective and the things that she's doing to help work through the Chamber of Commerce to support our local businesses here in Dublin. Ms. Inge Houston, let's turn it over to you for a brief update from the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Haubert, and thank you to the City of Dublin and you for hosting this event and getting the information out to our Dublin businesses. The Chamber is acting as a clearinghouse for information, and our job is to collect and distribute this information during the crisis. Every day I'm receiving calls from businesses about health, finance, and labor, and there's just so much information out there. And but I still receive the same calls every day, same questions every day. So you'd think you assume everybody would know, but they don't. So each business is at a different stage, and the Chamber is working to make sure that not all businesses are left behind. I'm working in partnership with the City of Dublin and SBA and the Alameda County Small Business Development Agency. I'm on weekly webinars with different agencies, learning to collaborate about all the different resources out there for business. So I'm here to help and disseminate information and give it to you, hopefully in an understandable way. We have a COVID-19 page on our website at dublinchamberofcommerce.org. I am available for phone calls and talks, so I can connect you with the people that you need to help your business. My number is 925-828-6200. You can also email the Chamber at info, I-N-F-O, at dublinchamberofcommerce.org. We're here to help you during this crisis. We don't want any Dublin business to be left behind. Thank you.
Ms. Houston, thank you very much for that insightful presentation and for all you do at the Dublin Chamber of Commerce. Hazel, would you please now introduce our colleagues that have joined us from the U.S. Small Business Administration and our special advisor with the Alameda County Small Business Development Center.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we have Noah Broad with the United States Small Business Administration on the line. He's going to give a high-level summary on all the different programs that are available to our small businesses, such as the Paycheck Protection Program, the EIDL Advance, and the SBA Express Bridge Loan. And that will be followed by Ron Barrett, advisor with the Alameda County Small Business Development Center, who is helping our businesses go through that process. They are not alone. The SBDC encourages them to contact an advisor to help them apply for these programs. Noah, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Hazel. Thank you, Mayor Haubert, for hosting and for giving me kind of the space to have a conversation with some of the business owners that are joining us today. So yeah, my name is Noah Broad. I'm at the U.S. Small Business Administration out of our district office. I work out of our San Francisco district office, which serves all of Northern California. And I'm on our economic development team and have been working really closely with business owners throughout this time to access some of the access and apply for some of the relief and benefits and programs that have been rolled out to support those business owners. So I'm gonna go through pretty quickly all of the programs that SBA has rolled out. just to kind of level set, because I know many business owners have already gone out and maybe even applied for some of our programs, but I like to sort of get everyone on the same page first, so that everyone has a sense of what has been done already, some updates as well about where the programs are, and then I kind of will take questions as folks have them. So I'm going to share the presentation here, and hopefully folks can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can. It looks great.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, before I usually have these conversations, I make sure to caveat everything I say, in the sense that because the situation is evolving on a daily basis, and we have new legislation that comes into place, new actions are by Congress, as well as additional rules and guidance that come out about implementing legislation that was a legislation under the CARES Act that was just passed over a week ago. We're all in this moment where where there's new information every single day. So what I'm going to share with you is the updates in the current state of assistance and programs, but I also make sure to let business owners know that right now we're in a moment where information is changing rapidly, and I really encourage business owners to be constantly refreshing what they know and what they understand about both programs and other benefits that are that they may be able to apply for under either under this legislation or maybe new legislation that comes down. So yeah, we're up to date as of this morning, so the financial assistance that's available for business owners that have been affected by COVID-19. And so the financial assistance from the SBA kind of fits into two different categories. On the one category, there is debt relief and deferment. And in the other category, there's financial assistance or getting capital into the hands of business owners who may be facing financial shortfalls as a result of having as a result of the shutdowns. So under the debt deferment relief, there's been a lot of discussion about our Paycheck Protection Program and our economic injury disaster loans, which I am going to talk about, but there's been a little bit less discussion actually about some of the debt deferment and relief programs that the SBA has rolled out. So since over the past 2.5, 3 weeks, SBA automatically deferred payments on any existing disaster loans that any business owner may have had outstanding from a prior disaster that had impacted them. So so if you received financial assistance under our economic injury disaster loan program, pretty much anytime in the past 30 years, because sometimes it's 30-year loans, we automatically deferred payments on any of those loans out through December. And then our existing lending programs, the 7A programs, 504 programs, microloan programs, outside of a disaster situation, SBA has regular lending and financial lending programs that business owners can take advantage of. And if you had participated in those programs, those loan payments that you might have on those programs, they can be deferred. And that's they can be deferred up to 6 months, and all you have to do is talk to your lender to get those payments deferred. And then the other item that we rolled out was a debt relief program. So SBA made the decision to pay the principal and interest payments of new and current 7A loans for the next 6 months. So that was some immediate relief and financial assistance that we were able to offer to business owners. So that's in the debt deferment or relief category. In the working capital and the cash flow and credit arenas, there's 3 programs that we have had available as a result of that are available specifically for this situation. Our existing, regular loan programs are still operating as normal, but we have disaster assistance, financial assistance as well. So one is an express bridge loan program that you would access through a commercial bank or lender. It's a bridge loan of up to $25,000 that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the bridge loan program, if only because a lot of those commercial lenders right now are implementing the Paycheck Protection Program. But it is a program that is available for business owners to take advantage of, where essentially this is a bridge loan while your economic injury disaster loan application is being processed by the SBA. So it's financing that you can access more quickly while you're waiting for a response from the economic injury disaster loan program. The other two programs are the Paycheck Protection Program, which is available now that people can, that is open and taking applications, and the economic injury disaster loan. And when the CARES Act passed, the economic injury disaster loan program has been a long-standing program that's been in existence for many years. And when the CARES Act passed a little over a week ago, it enabled us to streamline that application, to make it much easier to apply to, and also add an advance of up to $10,000 that does not need to be repaid, which can be advanced to a business owner even before the injury disaster loan application has been underwritten and approved or denied. So I'm going to go into more detail on both of those two programs, the economic injury disaster loan program and the Paycheck Protection Program. For the economic injury disaster loan program, this is a loan that is issued by SBA itself. So our federal agency receives an application, reviews it, and issues the loan directly to a business owner. It's for pretty much any working capital need that a business might have, and has a maximum loan size of up to $2 million, and it can be used for financial obligations and operating expenses, which could have been paid if the disaster hadn't occurred. So unlike the Paycheck Protection Program, which is really much more specific about the expenses that business owners should be using that loan for, the economic injury disaster loan program has a much broader category of expenses that a business owner can use it for. So yeah, like I mentioned, it's provided directly by the SBA, and as a result of the CARES Act, it has up to a $10,000 advance that was added on to that program. So it is a loan, so it has a loan underwriting process that the application needs to go through. SBA pulls credit history. We look at repayment ability over a 30-year period. If it is a loan over $25,000, then SBA does ask for business owners to pledge their available collateral, but we don't decline a loan for lack of collateral. And then, so it's a loan. What are the terms for the economic injury disaster loan? It's 3.75% for businesses or 2.75% for nonprofits, and it's up to a 30-year term. It can be a 15 or a 30-year, and more frequently it's a 30-year term. Under $25,000, no collateral is asked for under the economic injury disaster loan program. For eligibility, private nonprofits can apply. If you're located in a declared area, well, the entire country is a declared area under this program now, and you need to be a small business under the federal definition, and the federal definition is really quite expansive. If you have fewer than 500 employees, you qualify under the federal definition of a small business, and the 98% of businesses in the US qualify as small businesses for the eligibility of our particular programs. There are a few types of businesses that are categorically ineligible. So casinos or gambling concerns, illegal businesses, legal at the federal level. So cannabis-based businesses can't apply for the program because that is illegal at the federal level. Organizations that for this program, for the economic injury disaster loan program, religious organizations, local governments, lobbying concerns. So that includes 501c6s. So many chambers are 501c6s, and then the catch-all concerns engaged in the sales or of products or services of prurient sexual nature. So that's often strip clubs, things like that. So updates. So these are updates as of this morning for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. If you had gone to sba.gov and filled out an economic injury disaster loan application with us, we received an update this morning that funding for that advance is now has been going out a little bit, but it has now been authorized and will be going out to almost every single applicant within the next 24 hours. The initial expectation of the advance was that it would be issued to business owners within 3 to 4 days of that online application. And the online application launched last Monday. And I started getting feedback from business owners, you know, right around the 3 to 4 mark day that initial expectation from the launch date wasn't being met. And we got a notification this morning that those advance payments are being delivered now. And the other update with the Economic Injury Loan Program, because the CARES Act allowed us to streamline the program and put up a much more stable website and much more stable application that asked for less documentation and also had the advance portion built into it. The advice we have for any business owner that may have applied before March 30th is that they reapply using the new online application. Your old application is still there, it's still being processed, but you can't qualify for the advance unless you fill out the new application online. And additionally, the new application online has a lot of automation that's built into it that speeds up the process entirely. Putting in the second application to the online application won't delay your application, and it won't have any impact on the application you may have put in. And then the last update is that as of this morning, the guidance from our Office of Disaster Assistance is also to let folks know that for that advance, the amount of the advance is determined by the number of pre-disaster employees. So when you're applying for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, it does ask for the number of employees in your business, and the advance is a function of the advance is $1,000 per employee up to a maximum of $10,000. So those are the updates on that program as of this morning. And for the Paycheck Protection Program, this is the other program that launched last Friday. Started taking applications last Friday. I think we're on day 4 of a brand new of this national program. So the Paycheck Protection Program, what it is it's a loan provided by a commercial bank or lender. So unlike the other program where you'd go straight to SBA, for the Paycheck Protection Program, you might go to the institution where you have an existing banking relationship. You're not required to do that by SBA, but it's a program that's delivered through banks and credit unions and other lending institutions. And the purpose of the loan is to provide is so that the business owner can pay up to 8 weeks of payroll costs, including benefits. What we mean by payroll costs is pretty broad. It includes salary, wages, commissions, tips, and employee benefits, so vacation, sick leave, healthcare benefits, retirement benefits, and also includes state and local taxes that can be assessed on compensation. The purpose of this program is so business owners can keep employees on the payroll or rehire employees that they may have furloughed immediately after some of the shelter-in-place orders came out. And there's no, a question I often get from business owners is, whether they'll be because the shelter-in-place order is still in place, whether they will be penalized for bringing employees back on and not having them work while the shelter-in-place is still occurring. And the structure of this program is built around payroll expenses. It's not built around what an employee is doing or the activity of that employee. So for the purposes of the forgiveness program, we just want to see that the funds from the loan are going to payroll expenses. And so long as those funds are going towards payroll expenses, then the loan will be forgiven. And it is, the way it's structured is that 75% of that loan needs to go towards payroll expenses, and then up to 25% of it can go towards other categories of expenses, such as mortgage interest or rent or utilities. The other item with this program is that it is retroactive back to February 15th. So if you've been keeping your employees on the payroll, because even though the shelter in place has been in place and maybe you haven't been able to work or been able to have your business be running at the pace that it was before, you can reimburse those expenses you've already incurred going back to February 15th. So few updates. Some of these are hot off the press as of an hour ago. So availability from lenders. We've been fielding a lot of calls and working closely with business owners since the program launched on Friday. When the program launched on Friday, many lenders were not immediately, many of the lenders did not have the capacity to process and meet the demand from business owners who were inquiring about the program. And the initial response from many of the lenders was to restrict its availability to their existing clients or to not take applications at all. Between Friday and today, we now have over 4,000 lenders that are active in the program, and every single day, the capacity and ability for those lenders to take applications and process them has been growing. Many of the lenders had to get the infrastructure in place in order to process a lot of those applications. And what I've been seeing from conversations with lenders in our network is that the criteria for extending the program to non-existing clients has been broadening and widening on a daily basis. It's not a requirement that SBA put on our lenders that they restrict the program, but they do have the discretion to offer the program they do have the discretion to implement and offer the program. So every single bank and every single credit union is different in the way that this program is offered. And the best advice we have for business owners is to shop around. There's, like I said, we have 4,000 lenders in the system now. We'll be having online lenders entering the program, I believe this week as well. And the other item, I'd say on this is in my conversations with business owners, there has been a worry about the program becoming more constrained over time or less available over time. And from my conversations with lenders and from seeing actions that have been taken by the Treasury and by Congress this week, the perspective of this program is not one of becoming less available. It is one of becoming more and more available on a day-to-day basis. In terms of funding timelines for the Paycheck Protection Program, it can be very, very fast. Since Friday, there's been over $130 billion already approved through this program, and some of the disbursements are already going out within 4 or 5 days. And then starting this Friday, sole proprietors, 1099, self-employed individuals can also start to apply under the Paycheck Protection Program. There's a lot of questions about how to calculate payroll, and the Treasury has been on a daily basis making updates to an FAQ sheet, as well as releasing detailed guidance on how business owners should look at this program, as well as lenders. And that URL that I have on there is where they're making those updates. For a business owner, the advice I have that, the advice I have for business owners is that the lender that they're working with is the one that's going to be implementing the program. And as a result, that lender has the discretion to be more conservative in how they offer how they offer the Paycheck Protection Program. So some lenders, for instance, they might ask for the payroll numbers to be calculated in a very specific way, and other lenders will choose not to implement the program with that additional criteria put on top of it. SBA isn't prescriptive about that. And so that's the updates on that program as of this morning. I did mention that it is a loan, though, even though it has that forgiveness portion that is built into it. So if the loan is not forgiven, or if say only a certain percentage of that loan is used towards payroll expenses, and the business owner decides not to have the other portion of it forgiven, the Paycheck Protection Program converts into a loan. And so the question might be, well, what are the terms on that loan? And the terms of that loan is that it's a 1% interest rate loan, has a 2-year term, and your first payment is due after 6 months. No collateral is asked for, no personal guarantee, and what's really important is there's no borrower or lender fees that are payable, that should be collected from a business owner. So if we have heard some feedback that there are some websites out there, or there are brokers that may be asking or telling business owners that they will submit and get a Paycheck Protection Program application put into a bank for a certain fee, for charging a business owner for that. If you as a business owner encounter that, I encourage you to report that to our office, but also to find another individual or another bank to work with, because it's very clear that business owners should not be charged any fees to submit an application. So this is just a quick kind of side-by-side comparison of the two loan programs that I went over. And I'll go right back to that, I guess. And then the other, little bit of an update I'll give is that SBA has also made additional support available to the Small Business Development Center network to provide additional assistance, no-cost counseling, consulting, mentoring, and advising to business owners, and application support help. And I'll let Ron maybe talk about that. But our existing nonprofit support networks for business owners are expanding to meet the need right now. And then outside of SBA, the state of California is also rolling out programs. So I encourage business owners to look at what the state of California is doing to support business owners. And they have the website that's linked right there, where they're sharing information about the state programs that are available for business owners to apply for and to receive benefits from. All right, so that's the update, and we can hand it over to Ron maybe to talk a little bit about the SBDC, and then open up for questions.
Thank you, Noah.
Thanks,
Let's do that. Ron, take it away.
Thank you. First of all, thanks for inviting us. We are a resource for the businesses out in your area. We're at, our website is Alameda County Small Business Development Center, the initials for that. Let me bring up just a second here. As you'll see, the full name is Alameda County Small Business Development Center, but the website is AC for Alameda County, then SBDC.org. Just briefly say that we've got a lot of information on our site, like I'm sure may exist with the City of Dublin as well. But we have a lot of information on how to apply for a COVID-19 EIDL loan. You just click on that and it'll take you right to application itself. Thing to keep in mind is that there doesn't seem to be a way to save it while you're doing it. It's only about a 4-page document. So if you have most of your information available, just go ahead and apply. If you have to make an estimate, go ahead and do your best estimate. They will do a second round if they have questions for more detail. So that's kind of what happens there. Also, on our website, we have a number of other, we have a section here on all these business resources under Learn More. And there is just a lot of information available. Also, and it's a key thing about our group, is that we have really well qualified business experienced counselors who are familiar with these programs and that are available to any of you. You can go on the site here and kind of go through there and then see what questions you might have. If there's something you need some information, get a hold of the Alameda County Small Business Development Center via the website, and a counselor will be assigned to you. The amount of response, how long it takes on the response side is kind of a moving target. It's like somebody said the other day, it's kind of like trying to build an airplane while it's still flying. But we're still catching up with the number of people that are applying, but we'll be there for you. Beyond that, I think everything was covered very well by Noah, and thanks to you and the mayor for inviting us here today.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Hazel, anything else to add to that?
No, I just wanted to say, Ron, you strongly encourage businesses going through the SBDC network, correct, to apply for any of these programs?
Sure.
And then as Ron has his webpage up, you'll see the red apply now. So any of our businesses that need assistance, they can go to the Alameda County SBDC.org website and then hit that red apply now in the upper right-hand corner.
That's it.
Good, very good. Noah, are you able to give out any contact information for you? And Ron, I guess, should we just go to the website, or are you willing to give out any contact information from yourself? Either one.
It's best to go through the website, I would say.
Very good.
And yeah, for us, so SFO mail at sba.gov is our local office's, that's our email address. And if you wanted to call our office as well, we're taking calls to that number. It's 415-744-6820. And we have our entire staff taking inquiries as they come in. And we had an initial backlog, but we've pretty much worked through a lot of that now.
Very good. I know that we are pressed for time, but we do have, I think, some questions. I'll ask Ms. Smith to queue them up if we have some in the queue. But I want to say that a very complex set of very helpful programs, all laid out very clearly and succinctly by Noah Broad and by Ron Barrett. Thank you very much for helping to us to share information on how our businesses can be helped during this economic crisis related to the COVID-19. One last thing I will add is I know that Alameda County has taken upon itself to proactively agree to waive the fees and penalties regarded to the upcoming property tax due date, which is tomorrow, if a property owner is unable to pay property taxes, which is a significant payment on their behalf. And there is a significant penalty for missing that date, which is, again, is tomorrow. If you are in need of a waiver, Alameda County has prepared for that. That is a program that our tax collector announced last week. It was supported unanimously by all of the mayors in Alameda County and all of the city managers in Alameda County, doing our part to help out every which way that we can. So maybe Hazel or Ms. Smith, either one, do we have questions from the community?
Mayor, I'll take those. And I think one of the questions, it's more of a comment. I think everybody would like to get a copy of Noah's presentation. So if we could add that to our website, our COVID-19 page, that would be great. I don't know, Hazel, if that's possible, but
yep, we'll take care of that.
Being able to direct people to view that on dublin.ca.gov. And I'm sure the chamber would love to have a copy of it as well for its website. How does PPE and EIDL affect employees who have filed for unemployment but have not yet received it?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It's one we've been getting from a number of business owners, and I can. So there's kind of two parts of that. One is whether an employee who is on unemployment, whether there's anything on SBA's side that that mentions anything about unemployment, and the answer to that is no. So for any of our SBA programs, we don't have any requirement or interactions with unemployment and the delivery of our programs. But what I make sure that business owners know is that unemployment is administered by the state of California and the EDD office, and generally an individual receiving unemployment has to report any income that they've received to the EDD office, and then their unemployment benefits are adjusted. And we haven't gotten an update from the unemployment office if they're making any adjustments on their side for the PPP program, but I don't know if they would either. So I guess there's two elements to that. On SBA's side, there's nothing on our side about it, but you need to check in with the EDD and the unemployment office. And it is likely that if an employee has started to receive their salary again, they'll need to report that to unemployment, and that will impact their benefits.
Next question is, our office is hearing that some of the SBA lenders have already exhausted their funding under this program. Have you had any news whether Congress may appropriate additional funds for these programs?
Yeah, so this was, they might be talking about Wells Fargo especially also, because Wells Fargo came out and made that announcement. And in the case of Wells Fargo, it was that Wells Fargo ran up against their own internal limits in terms of what they were able, the amount that they were able to participate in our program because of restrictions that had been placed on them owing to reasons that they were in the headlines over the past few years. So that was an individual issue with that bank. And you see this on a banking by banking, an individual bank by bank sort of level. The degree to which a bank is able to participate in a program does depend on how much funds that individual bank has, because the structure of this program is that a bank makes the loan and then they have to wait 8 weeks until they can go back to SBA and get that loan reimbursed. And so some banks have limits in terms of how much they can participate in the program. And one of the announcements that happened this morning is that the Treasury Department made an announcement that they would be, this might be getting into the weeds on a technical bit, but the Treasury Department announced this morning that they would be participating in the secondary market for loans, which would allow those banks to make a PPP loan and then sell it and then continue to make loans to their clients. Which is good news for business owners, because that would really limit, or that would really open up the space for loans or individual banks to participate in a greater way with the program. But the PPP program itself is not out of funds and has had significant additional commitments made to it this morning.
There's not a follow-up question, another PPP question. If you're a sole proprietor, but you also have W-2 employees, I don't know how that exactly works. Would you need to apply 2 times? One for the W-2 employees and one for the sole proprietor owner? Perhaps they meant owner.
Maybe the other way around. Yeah. Like maybe they're the owner and they have 1099 employees. Or yeah. So if you're a sole proprietor, you would include a W-2 employee in your calculations of payroll. If it was, the common question I get is whether an individual business owner who has 1099 contractors working for them should count those 1099 contractors for their payroll costs. And the answer to that is no. 1099 and sole proprietors are eligible to apply starting this Friday for themselves.
Okay, the next, I think, related question for SBA is the SBA 7A loan. When does it begin, the SBA 7A loan program? Does it April 1st or May 1st, or does it depend on your lender when that program, the debt relief program, begin?
Oh, the 8-week time period. That clock starts from the day of funding.
Okay. I think those were all the questions we had, other than making sure that we had not all of the questions, all the questions related to the SBA, I should say. We did have a couple of other questions being brought forward. Actually, we just got another one pop up. Let me hold on to that one. So the question is directed to the police chief. Are there any additional police patrols in place to watch over closed business properties?
We don't have any additional patrols, but the patrol officers are aware of the closed businesses and are making a conscious effort to drive by those locations throughout their shift.
Great, thank you. The other question relates to ongoing construction for new home development. Why is it still happening? The individual who put this request in, or this question in, said they're still pouring foundations at the Boulevard project. Under the new, I'll answer that question, under the new order, the non-essential housing, which is anything that is not considered affordable housing, must stop under the new order. The caveat, I will say, and we've been working specifically with the development going on in Dublin, is that the project needs to be left in a safe manner. So sometimes the activity that you may see occurring out at a site has to do with the fact that they need to leave it into a safe place. And then I think probably not leaving an open ditch is probably one of those things. So they're probably getting the foundation poured so that they can step away from the project. That's the case with people that are preparing to also move into their units. For units that are recently constructed, there is a time period where people have now sold their homes and now committed to moving in and are now paying a mortgage on these homes. And so they need to get access to those homes. And so the Boulevard in particular is working with people to get into those homes and then close down the balance of their operations. There will still continue to be what we are calling public infrastructure improvements. So any street improvements that go on will continue. Those are determined to be essential governmental functions and operations. And so those types of activities you will see continuing in the city. Aside from that, there will be 2 residential projects that would continue during this period of time because they meet the affordable housing requirements as established under the order. So I just wanted to make sure people know that. We did get a couple more questions, and I need to look at them. As a self-employed owner of who is not a W-2 employee, can that salary be included in the PPP? So if you're self-employed, can your salary be included in the PPP? You're on mute, thanks.
There you go, sorry. So that is a great question, and it is one, so that program opens on Friday, and we're awaiting really specific guidance from Treasury on exactly how sole proprietors should be calculating their own salaries for participation in that program. And so that on the slide, there's that link for the Treasury website, and we're kind of watching that on a daily basis to see where guidance, for guidance on that.
Okay. The last question I see is related to whether or not the city has the power to mandate landlords waive rents for small businesses or set up a program that they can recoup in different ways. So at this, I don't know, Mayor, if you want to talk about it, or I can give you an answer from a staff perspective at this point in time.
Let's hear from staff.
Sure. We are continuing to look at what programs we can make available to the public. We cannot compel landlords to not collect rents. What we can do, and we'll look into, is what we can do to work with those small businesses to stay in the locations that they're in currently. And I think many of the programs that you've heard today, especially the component that allows you at least to put 25% towards some of your expenses, could go a long way. We are, and I don't know, Hazel, if you have anything you want to add to this conversation, but we are definitely trying to figure out a way to support the small business community that augments the efforts that are ongoing at the federal and the state level. We don't have that defined yet with the City Council. We're planning to bring our Economic Development Subcommittee some of our thoughts and ideas on how to do that. And Mayor Haubert serves on that, as well as Councilmember Hernandez. And they will make a recommendation to the City Council on how to proceed. We're hoping to get that in the next week or so. But again, we want to be supportive of the programs that are already available. We don't want to supplant any programs that the federal or state government may have available to small businesses. And we want to make sure that the businesses, if we do come up with a program, that the businesses are taking advantage of all of the programs available to them before asking for funding from the city, that there is a concerted effort being made to go find funds wherever they may be. Mayor, I don't know if you want to speak to that at all.
I think Hazel maybe might be able to add something. I'll just say from my perspective, indeed, we want to be able to retain as many or hopefully all of our businesses, especially our small and locally owned, say, non-corporate businesses that are mom and pop shops, so to speak, as well as every one of our businesses. So payroll protection, absolutely important. But indeed, the relationship between landlord and tenant is one between the two of them. We hope to educate both sides on how they can fare this financial storm as best as possible. We're here to protect everybody, but we, as you mentioned, can't mandate terms between landlord and tenant. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, Hazel, or not, but I think that's the answer.
Yes, I would echo those same sentiments, Mayor and City Manager Smith, and just say that we're looking to our neighboring cities to see what programs they're putting together, what resources, and just trying to look at and research those options.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Smith, do we have any other questions from the community?
I believe that is the extent of the questions that we have received.
Great. We're a bit over time, but I want to say thank you to everybody in the community that attended. I want to say thank you to every one of the panelists. You did an outstanding job. We thank you so much. I also want to remind everybody that this recording of the final of the three community conversations today has been recorded. You can refer back to it, rewind, fast forward. You can also share it with others that may have similar questions to you that you have. I want to say also, this is the first time we've done the virtual town hall meetings. And so thank you to staff for doing a great job putting this together, and the infrastructure, getting the word out in such short notice, and to all the participants that we've had in the community. I hope and expect that we will be able to do these on a more frequent basis as needed with new information. With that, I will say it's in all of our best interests to continue to stay at home, stay healthy, and help save lives. Let's flatten this coronavirus curve. And for the community of Dublin, let's stay Dublin strong. Thank you very much for attending.